Hey guys, it's me again. No gameplay footage today, but I am going to speak about something that is game related, obviously. Y'all, some of you, I can't say you all because some of you may not be familiar with it. There's a certain thing that's going on right now called the Coleco Chameleon, and what it's doing is it's pissing off a lot of YouTubers, a lot of gamers that were actually looking forward to this product, and I can't blame them. It looks like it was going to be a fantastic piece of software that allowed retro games and new retro games, a place where we could kind of relive that time of our lives when we were most happy. Call it nostalgia, call it what you will. I just call it, I want to play a game and have a good time. You really can't have that anymore due to DLC, microtransactions, and the like. Why can't we just go back to the days where if we beat a game, we get bonus content for beating said game, like the GameCube and PS2 era? I don't go towards the whole generation thing because I think that sounds dumb. All right, it is a generation, yes, but I don't go by those. I just say whatever systems were at being supported at that time period. So the GameCube, PS2, Xbox era had a lot of unlockable content, especially the Sonic collection games or Sonic Adventure DX. We had some of the Game Gear games unlocked, and it was cool. I loved that. It was great. And then the next era, the next generation or era came about, and we lost all that. Now we have to buy bonus content or buy standalone products, like say the Streets of Rage trilogy. You can't just buy the whole trilogy. No, you got to buy every game. Why couldn't you just make a bundle, like a $5 bundle? Because seriously, it's old. No one's gonna pay full price for that shit. Unless it's complete in a box. I don't know. Sega's dumb. So is Nintendo. Everybody's dumb. Actually, Sony's dumb too. I don't understand the gaming world anymore. I don't even bother because it's a brain ache. I just play what's fun. I could care less what's popular because I'm not a trend whore like everybody on YouTube is. Anyway, so the Coleco Chameleon is a retro system that is supposed to say play games from the ColecoVision all the way to I want to say Super Nintendo, somewhere around. I'm not too familiar with it. I just remembered it was supposed to play. It was going to be like the Retron 5, but different. You could, and it was going to support new games, which on paper is an excellent idea. I honestly think if there was a new Super Nintendo on the market, people would buy it. I'm serious about that. If it had the same, or not the same, but like the Game Boy Advance. Let's use that because that's a perfect example. I loved the Game Boy Advance because it was like a portable Super Nintendo and more, and it was. It could do different graphics, or different like updated graphics. Like the Mode 7 was more cleaner and crisper. Uh, Compared to the actual Super Nintendo. It was cool. It could do the effects that was desired. People were just pissed because it had no polygons. Who gives a shit? Could you imagine in 2001 a portable polygon system? It probably would have been ass. Now we have that though. I mean, we have the 3DS and the Vita, and well, portable gaming looks good, but now there's really nothing that really differentiates it from consoles. And of course, you have the fucking baby boomers that support this shit. I mean, I just use it for light communications. I use the Wi-Fi connection. This phone has no service on it. That clam one that I showed you in that one video about how I hate cell phones. I still hate them, by the way. I just use them when necessary, or if I'm on the shitter and I want to play PBA Bowling Challenge or something. That's it. I could never hardcore game on a portable console. Even the DS. I mean, I have a DS. This is my DS Lite right here, and I play it here and there. I can't hardcore game on a fucking handheld though. I get bored relatively quickly. Um, I don't know what it is, but I own Game Boy Advance, but once again, off topic. Point being, the Coleco Chameleon was a good idea, but unfortunately, the creator or one of the higher ups, Mike Kennedy, I believe is his name. He should have been a car salesman or a lawyer because he is a absolute liar. on everything that he's promised. There's still no working prototype on that system, and there probably never will be. But then you have people like Rich of Review Tech who actually called the thing snake oil, because it is, obviously, because it's screwing a lot of people out of money and a lot of care. Because when you care about a product, you want to support it and you want to see it succeed. But it doesn't happen when you keep getting dicked around. This has happened on many occasions in the gaming industry, and it looks like it's not going to slow down anytime soon. Okay, a lot of people supported it when it was Retro VGS on Kickstarter. They didn't get the $1 million that they needed, but still it had like what, $250,000 was it, or was it more than that? You know what? My numbers suck, so I don't remember if I should have got screen captures if I knew I was going to make this video. This video is being made spontaneously. I just watched Alpha Omega Sin's video on this topic, and I'll put it in the link in the description below. Apparently, the creators of this thing, Mike and his fucking little dick-sucking buddies, are going after people on YouTube about this, and I'm pretty sure Alpha Omega Sin may see some heat from them. But then again, I'm starting to think not so, because they see how Alpha basically can handle himself. But they want to go after other people like Gamester81. Gamester81 is one of the nicest YouTube personalities out there. There is no right for anybody to go after him. I don't know the whole story behind it. I haven't, but I just heard Alpha say something about them or somebody going after Gamester81 over this whole thing, and I think it had something to do with Ted Kennedy and his little dick-sucking buddies. I don't understand it. I mean, they're just digging themselves a hole. I mean, if they already have, if you look at it, they dug themselves a hole, and no one's going to buy this thing. No one's going to support this thing. Now, this is just a personal wish. I wish someone would learn from what they did and actually create something like it. But instead of just saying, "Oh, we got a prototype. Oh, yeah, we have a mini Super Nintendo in a Jaguar casing. We have a capture card in the Jaguar casing." Someone actually make a working prototype with the same idea that the Coleco Chameleon has, and run with it. And I know this sounds a little bit stupid, or not stupid, but I understand some things need to be modernized for gamers, and one of the things it definitely would need is an internet connection. So if the game is buggy, like if someone makes a game and it's just not working properly, or there's a game crashing bug, like we get in modern day everything pretty much. That's why there's DLC and patches and all sorts of shit. I mean, don't get me wrong, all that shit's cool if something in the game is broken or something in the game needs fixing. I'm all for that. So I would like for it to have an internet connection, and maybe make something like the X band was in the 90s. Obviously with better latency and pinging and all that, because we don't, 56K, I'd like it for nostalgia reasons, and I will admit that. But make something like the X band. That thing was really cool. I actually got to use that when it was going on for the first time. I played games all around the country with of certain other players. Mortal Kombat 2, Super Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, Super Mario Kart, Doom. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I mean, and the thing is the gameplay actually was fine. It was streamlined. Everything worked perfectly. I mean, you would have the disconnection, and of course paying. Jesus, Lord have mercy. I am glad their parents were rich, because they would. The guys I was hanging out with, they were twins. I won't go into detail, but they had an X-Man for the Super Nintendo, and they were twins, and I went to school with them, and they had parents that had a bunch of this, and they spoiled the shit out of their kids. So they basically gave them whatever they wanted. So yeah, they ring up the phone bill of $700. They don't give a fuck. But yeah, we played a bunch of fighting games and a few other games that were X-Band or X-Band ready, and I was excited to actually do that It was my first online gaming experience, and it was exciting for me. So I could see why, a lot of teeny boppers who grew up with the whole internet era when it exploded to the mainstream. I could see why, a lot of them online multiplayer is expected or wanted. But I would, once again, I would really like to see like some kind of X-band thing to be made from it. Some internet connection and a little bit of flash memory or a memory module that was inside the system or something that you could provide like an SD card. And that way the updates for said games could be put on this device and loaded into the memory when you load the game. So that way, the code that has been patched can be read from said game, and your game would work properly if it was a brand new game of sorts. I'm not, my idea is probably shit, alright? But it's a lot better than Coleco Chameleon, if this thing ever works. I mean, this thing is basically a rip-off of rip-off, or a rip-off of things that have already been come to pass. I mean, the Coleco Chameleon is a Jaguar console, which I actually had a chance to play also when I was younger. Wasn't the best system. I actually was kind of excited for it, though, because a lot of the games that were on it, I've seen them in magazines and still shots, right? But when you saw them in motion, they were awful. And I could see why that system failed. And then you have the controller, which looks like a Wii U Pro controller. And then the innards, when he was at the game show, I can't remember which one it was, had a Super Nintendo or a Super Nintendo Mini slot. You seen the slot. You could tell it's a Super Nintendo if you own one, because I'm pretty sure you look in the Super Nintendo slot and you're like, hey, wait a minute, that looks just like, because it is. Or it could have been the entire board, or they could have just found a way to remove the slot and just put it in there for showing off. I mean, there's still no working prototype. This thing is. There's the Phantom, as Alpha Omega Sin mentioned, the Adrema. Do you all remember the Adrema? That thing was supposed to be a Linux console that was supposed to focus more on gaming fun than, at least that's what they said, more gaming-related material than the Xbox was. But that thing became vaporware very quick because a lot of funds ran out before they had this thing on. The thing looked cool. I don't think I would have bought it, but it looked cool. But I also thought it would have been cool and interesting to see a fourth newcomer in the console race, because we've always been used to 3 consoles. Why can't we have a fourth? Have the underdog, and then have it supported enough to where, hey, we can buy this. And like I said, with the ColecoVision or Coleco Chameleon, I was excited for it for that reason. I was looking at it as a mainstream survival or a mainstream reboot to games that we once knew and once enjoyed. And it could very well be that, but Mike Kennedy has fucked too many people up. Fucked so many people. A whole broad spectrum of gamers who were excited for this thing. He fucked them over. So you think they're going to support and buy this thing? Unless the person who does is a complete fucking idiot, no one will. No one. I won't. And you guys know me, I am the biggest retro gaming lover ever. I mean, if retro gaming was a woman, I would fuck the shit out of her. My wife knows this too. She's sleeping, so she's not going to come in here and yell at me like she did in my Rage Quit video. That's definitely a highlight. I mean, she was just like, I can't believe you said that when you were playing a game online. I'm like, it's the truth though. That's how you get sandwiches made. Oh, that was funny as fuck. But seriously, y'all know that my passion and love for retro gaming is unbreakable. I mean, you could tell me a whole bunch of lies about things during that time period, or a bunch of controversy that going on during that time. Most of it I already know of. The Night Trap game for the Sega CD, Mortal Kombat, Doom, maybe. Most of it I remember or have bits and pieces of a memory, because I'm old now. I'm going to be 34 next month. Oy. told my wife I just want beer for my birthday, because seriously, I don't get shit for my birthday anymore anyway. And she's like, well, I'll try to get you something. I'm like, nah. It's cool though. I'll just have a beer, play Blaster Master, and call it a day. But with the Chameleon, I mean, I'm just gonna say this: if you people still feel that it's going to be a really awesome product worth your money, don't let me or other people down the internet who are angry at both the creator and the product itself for basically being vaporware or as close to vaporware as one can be. I would suggest going ahead and just spend your money on it if you think it's going to be worth your money. I personally wouldn't spend money on it. Even if I had the money to spend on this product, I wouldn't buy it. I have a Super Nintendo. I have an NES. I got two NESs actually. One's in storage because my old one still works. I boiled the connector and it's working like it's brand new again. Sometimes a game needs a cleaning for it to work, and I also disabled the NES 10 chip. So I don't have that annoying blinkingness when I'm in the middle of the game, because once it works, it stays working. No problems whatsoever. It's nice. And I love using a Nintendo controller. My N64, Hello Don, who was on, who used to be an avid watcher of my YouTube material, he actually purchased or got a, I don't know how he did it because it's, I'm just glad he did. My N64, my original one broke. The reset button stopped working. I opened it up and I was trying to clean it, trying to fix it. And when I put it all together, it wouldn't power back on. So something got fucked up. And, I'm not too technologically smart to figure shit like that out. So I just was heartbroken because that was my first console I bought with my money. And so he bought me a replacement. Not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before that. And I got it in the mail, and I put my, it didn't come with a expansion pack or a jumper pack, because he assumed I had all that. I mean, I had all the connectors, and I was sure it was going to work fine, and it did. And the first game I popped in, you guys are going to laugh at this one, is Quest 64. I like that game. I don't care. Fuck you. I have guilty pleasures, and I'm sure the rest of you do too. But I bought Wii, launched it. I got a launch Wii, got that on launch day. I got two Genesis Model 2s. I got one from a friend. Actually, no, I take that back. Both of them came from one of them came from my friend Michael, and the other one was from my brother Michael, because he had two, and he was like, you want a spare one? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then my buddy Dan gave me the Sega Genesis Model 1, but unfortunately, it's the VA3. The one with the shitty sound. Yeah, if I ever come up with the money, I would love to get me a Model 1 with the pure X6, the pure Yamaha 2612 sound processor. Not this fucking emulated sound that they got. I don't understand what they were going with that. Anyways, I got that. Dreamcast doesn't count because that wouldn't be in the Chameleon. But you see where I'm getting at with this, though. I mean, this is pretty much going to be a Retron 5. I wouldn't be surprised if the front end wasn't going to be stolen. Retron 5, they stole the code or they didn't really, well, yeah, yes and no. When you take an open source in a product, you're supposed to give either royalties or give some kind of thanks to the creator to allow you to use those RetroArch or Arch, whatever. I mentioned that emulator many a time. I used it in a lot of my streams, and now it's just a convoluted mess. I can't use it anymore. It sucks. I mean, if you know how to use it, it's fine, but I don't. Anyways, Hyperkin actually took that program and put it, the Android version, they put it in the console. So they stole it. They stole it and didn't give any kind of thanks or royalties for anything sold to Libretro, I think is his name. Libretro. Yeah, Libretro. So, I don't know. It's just a weird time we're living in, guys. Everyone's stealing shit. No one's coming up with interesting or original ideas. And you know, as big as a retro freak I am, I'm not buying the Chameleon. Now, if someone were, like I said, if someone were to make a console like that, that actually had a working prototype, had, you know, original ideas, original things, third-party devs would make small projects for that system, like a small 16-bit or 8-bit game for, you know, something they could make a little bit of money on with a little bit of time made on it, something like that, or you know, the whole flash memory or some kind of internal memory that could use for patches, kind of like, you know, Steam, and then an X-band like modems functionality where you can play online with friends and maybe messaging as well. You can hook up a keyboard to it using a USB port or something. You know, there's a lot of ideas that could be brought into this little thing. I don't know what I would call it. Uh, I'm not good with names or naming things, products. You know, I just call it Retro God or something, something stupid like that probably. Uh, but no, it would be, that's pretty much, if I were to make something like that, if I had the know-how, and I would try to make it that, and if I were to borrow some, you know, source codes from certain projects, any royalties I would make, I would cut them a deal, and first I would of course ask them, get permission, because that's one thing that Hyperkin did not do. He took the shit, but they took the shit without permission, and they didn't mention anything about LibRetro. They just kept hush hush about it. That's not right, because the LibRetro, while he kind of fucked up RetroArch as of now, I mean, it's almost a convoluted mess. I can't use it anymore. I used to use it on my Android and, you know, play a couple games when I would wake up on my tablet. Can't do it anymore because it's just the whole. It won't even read my controller half the time. There's a lot of problems with it that I just don't like. I got to update the PC version now and see if maybe I can make sense of it. There's just too many options, and it's like, whoa, I just want to play a game. But, you know, I guess it's one of those things that you have to dick with if you want to have the correct or the desired effect. A lot of people bitch about the resolution and shit. And that's another thing. With the Coleco Chameleon, you know, I'm wondering if they've haven't even released specs. They just call it um, or powerful processor or something like that. Something really generic. I remember they were calling it that, not a specification. So I don't even think this thing's ever going to materialize. And if it does, it's not going to sell worth a fuck, and it's going to come and go. And that's fine, because they fucked over so many people and hurt a lot of people's feelings in terms of, you know, money and promises they were given, and they're being let down. You know, it's kind of like being a kid in a candy store, and your heart is set on getting candy, but then when you get to the register, you know, the person that buys your candy or the money that you had in your pocket is gone, and you can't buy that candy anymore. It's kind of like that same feeling. So, let's see, the reason why I'm all over the place is I'm having a manic episode. I'm just all over the place. So I do apologize for that. But I'm not going to buy this system. I'm not going to buy this product. I was, you know, seeing how it goes, and if it was going to be something that I was going to be interested in, I would consider, you know, finding the way to get the funds and purchasing this console and a couple of games for it, maybe, or and play some of my old stuff on it, even though that wouldn't be necessary because I got a Super Nintendo. Matter of fact, here's the controller. I was playing, the last game I was playing is Warlock. It's the only LGN game I really, really like. And then before that, I was playing Biometal. I've been trying to beat this game for years, and I don't think I'll ever will. But anyways, those are the games I was playing the other day on my Super Nintendo. And, you know, I don't need it. I mean, I understand this is like the age where a lot of people are making clones. You know, gaming console clones of sorts. And, you know, and it's cool if you don't have the hardware, and sometimes the hardware will break over time. I suggest getting the Retro Trio 3, I think it's called, or the It's the one that plays all 3 systems, and it actually accurately plays the sound on them, and it has good compatibility. It's Retro... Oh, shit. I think it's the Retro Trio 3 or Retro 3 Trio, something like that. Y'all should just look it up and you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's a really awesome, and it's actually considered better than the Retron 5. The Retron 5, of course, will emulate everything almost, but the Trio actually gets the sound part right with most of the games, and most of the games that didn't work on the Retron 5 or other clone consoles like the Yobo line. I can't even think of it. Shit. You know what I mean. And it would work. Still, 8 Eyes seems to be a game that this won't work on consoles. It's not a great game by any means, but you know, if you got an NES, you can play it just fine. I wonder if Coleco Chameleon will run it. Probably not. It's a piece of shit. It probably will never. I don't even think this thing's ever going to happen. I think it's just going to become vaporware. But if I am absolutely wrong, then we'll see what happens. Now, if it does well enough, if it doesn't, you know, I mean, I just think it's not. It just fucked too many people over to be unsalvageable this time, this way, this whatever. It's just done. It's a done deal. I'm not gonna buy it unless you know it does change and it becomes something that's profitable. But they better apologize to all those people that were wanting to support this thing. I don't think that's going to happen either, because no one wants to I mean, no one apologizes anymore anyway. But they should apologize if to all those people they did wrong, like Gamester81 and all that. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get off here, and those are my thoughts. I apologize once more for me being all over the place. It's just, I wish, like I said, I'm lacking sleep. In kind of in a manic mode. But, oh, I'm starting to yawn. Maybe talking made me tired. I'm going to call it an early night tonight anyway. Alright, guys, well, you take care of yourselves, and I'll go ahead and link the Alpha Omegason video in the description if you want to see his. He can do a better explaining. He's better explaining things than I am. He can actually stay on topic. I can't. My brain just doesn't work that way, obviously. So, anyway, alright. Take care. Have a good night. And later.